Thank you for joining us today for an important announcement. I wish to acknowledge, to begin, that we are on the traditional territory of the Shaunavik and Haudenosaunee, and to acknowledge the neighbouring communities of the Chippewas of the Thames First Nation, the Oneida Nation of the Thames, the Munsee Delaware Nation, and the Chippewas of Kettle and Stony Point. I would also recognize that Ontario is home to many diverse Indigenous peoples, including the Métis Nation. My name is Peter White. I'm the Executive Director of Government Relations, Strategic Partnerships, and Advanced Manufacturing for Western. I'm very pleased to be here with Minister Alghabra for this important announcement, so please join me in welcoming him to the podium to speak. Minister?
Thank you very much, Peter. Good morning, everyone. Bonjour à tous. I'd like to start by saying that both my colleagues, Ariel and Peter, would have liked to be with us here today. Unfortunately, due to Ariel's schedule conflict, and I don't know if you saw that Peter shared that he has COVID, so he's unable to be with us, and I want to wish him a speedy and a fast recovery. I also want to thank and congratulate my colleagues for their advocacy over the years in making zero-emission vehicles more affordable, and they are one of the reasons why I'm here today. It's a pleasure to be here today with Daniel from Mobility Canada, Leslie and Peter from Western University to kick off EV Week with this game-changing important announcement. C'est un plaisir d'être ici aujourd'hui. The Fraunhofer Project Center for Composite Research, where we are today, is a leader in lightweight materials research, which is key to helping build electric vehicles. Canadians have been clear. They want clean air, good jobs, and lower bills. And our government continues to deliver on these priorities by investing in zero-emission vehicles that help reduce pollution, create more well-paying jobs, and build a cleaner world for generations to come. That's why in Budget 2022, we made zero-emission vehicles more affordable and available for Canadians by investing $1.7 billion to extend our government's popular iZEV program. And on top of that, we recently expanded the program to cover more of the vehicles that Canadian families want to buy, like SUVs and vans. But we're not stopping there. When I say arrête par là, in Canada, medium and heavy-duty vehicles are a big source of pollution on our roads. Many Canadian businesses want to help reduce pollution by making the switch to zero-emissions vehicles. And our government is committed to ensuring that, where feasible, 100% of medium and heavy-duty vehicle sales are zero-emission by 2040. That's why I'm proud to announce that as of today, we are launching a new incentive program for medium and heavy-duty zero-emission vehicles. On lance aujourd'hui un nouveau programme d'incentive pour les véhicules moyens et lourds à zéro émission. This new program will help Canadian businesses, organizations, and governments make the shift to medium and heavy-duty ZEVs, such as the Ford E-Transit cargo van, the Caravan E-Jest shuttle, the Lion 8 vocational truck, and the Volvo VNR electric tractor truck, with nearly $550 million. Through this program, we are providing incentives to purchase or lease these vehicles. It'll support vehicles like zero-emission delivery vans, coach buses, waste management trucks, and ambulances. This will represent approximately 50% of the price difference compared to a traditional vehicle, providing up to $200,000 per vehicle, depending on vehicle class. This new program can also be combined with provincial or territorial incentives to make these vehicles even more affordable. And it is expected that these new incentives will reduce annual emissions by up to 200,000 tons in 2026 and up to 3 million tons by 2030. So today's announcement, as I said, is a game changer for our transportation sector, for communities and businesses, and for all Canadians. Ce sont des bonnes nouvelles pour tous. Merci. Thank you.
That's a very exciting announcement, and given what we know each of our OEM partners in the region are doing, that's going to be very exciting. And we continue to work with a number of the OEMs in both Canada and the US, looking at ways. You'll see some of the various components that we make today for lightweighting and EVs, so it's a very exciting time. At this point, I'd like to ask our Vice President of Research, Leslie Rink, to come up and speak a few words and talk a little bit about some of the things at Western. Thanks, Leslie.
Thanks, Peter, for the introduction, and welcome to the Honorable Omar how do you say your name? Alghabra. And thank you for that very important announcement. And welcome to all the guests to the Fraunhofer Innovation Platform for Composites Research here at Western. Announcements like today that support advanced manufacturing within the EV sector emphasize the crucial role that sustainability research plays. Supporting medium and heavy electric vehicles is an important step in fueling Canada's green economy. Today's backdrop here at the Fraunhofer speaks to the fundamental role that research plays in creating not just the vehicles of the future, but a sustainable green economy. When universities and industry work together, the future's not just brighter, it's also greener. World-class research connected to sustainability and advanced manufacturing are happening here at Western, as you see today. As Peter mentioned, through our partnership with Fraunhofer, we've been working on OEMs to develop and test lightweight composite materials that make electric vehicles lighter and stronger, which allows for better battery performance. Western is also a leader in developing next-generation solid-state batteries that get used in EVs. We're not seeing those here today, but Professor Andy Sun, who's one of the Canada Research Chairs, he works in the development of nanomaterial for clean energy. He and his research group are working to innovate battery capacity, battery storage, and all of those things are vital to the EV industry. They're helping move Canada forward towards its climate goals. Western's commitment to a sustainable and resilient future is front and center in the new strategic plan, including our goal here at Western to achieve net zero emissions for campus operations by 2050, and at least a 45% reduction in overall emissions by 2030 compared to the 2005 levels. We are also addressing the role of climate change on sustainability, food production, and health. We have teams of researchers and students and industry partners that are looking at the sustainable use of resources, including water, renewable energy, and energy storage systems. Importantly, we are predicting and modeling the impact of climate change while engineering safe homes through building practices that are developed in our world-class wind facilities. And you can see one of them out the door. There's a big dome out there, which is our windy dome, where we produce 3D models, and we can actually create a tornado in that facility to look at the impact. It's truly an amazing thing to see. Investments on the part of the government, such as today, what we just heard, highlight that when industry and research work hand in hand, we can truly impact Canada's green future. Thank you all for being here for this important announcement.
Now I'd like to invite a strong partner for the Future Canada, Daniel Berton, the President and Chief Executive of Electric Mobility Canada.
Hello everyone, great announcement today. Minister of Transport Omar Alghabra, Leslie Rink, Vice President of Research, and Peter White, Executive GR and Strategic Partnership from Western University. Got that right? I did. Great. It's my great pleasure to be here today for this announcement of the new medium and heavy-duty zero-emission vehicle rebate program, better known as the IMZEV program. My name is Daniel Breton and I am President and CEO of Electric Mobility Canada. Mon nom est Daniel Breton, je suis Président Directeur Général de Mobilité Électrique Canada. EMC is a national membership-based, not-for-profit organization dedicated exclusively to the advancement of electric mobility as an exciting opportunity to fight climate change and air pollution while stimulating the Canadian economy. Members include light, medium, heavy-duty and off-road vehicle manufacturers, utilities, charging infrastructure manufacturers, charging suppliers and networks, tech companies, mining companies, fleet managers, unions, cities, universities, dealer association, EV owner association, and they're all based across Canada. Most Canadians associate the acronyms EVs and ZEVs with electric cars. Electric vehicles and zero-emission vehicles go far beyond cars, and we are pleased to see attention being given to transitioning medium and heavy-duty vehicles to electric. Transit vehicles, school buses, trucks, marine vehicles, off-road vehicles, and soon we will see zero-emission planes. For example, during a recent trip to Norway, I discovered that 47% of their 825 ferries were already electric. We at EMC have been advocating for financial support to help Canada transition to medium and heavy-duty zero-emission vehicles because not only do MHEVs, like we call them, represent more than 1/3 of Canada's GHG emissions in transport, they also represent a disproportionate part of air pollutant emissions. For example, medium and heavy-duty vehicles contribute to black carbon and nitrogen emissions. To give you an example, between Monday and Saturday, diesel trucks on highways emit approximately 80% of black carbon emissions while representing only 1% of the vehicle on the road. Today's announcement marks a new and important step towards decarbonizing transport while creating high-quality, sustainable jobs for Canadians. Because we just don't want to fight climate change, we also want to create quality jobs in Canada. And this is a great announcement. It's important to remember that we need to ensure not only a green energy transition, but also a green job transition. Being here at the Fraunhofer Innovation Platform for Composite Research is a perfect indication of how innovation is a key part of the transition towards zero-emission transportation. Research on materials, composites, battery chemistry, and propulsion system represents a fantastic opportunity for Canada and its partners to develop a new ZEV supply chain from mining to mobility. Having been at the Fraunhofer Institute in Germany, I know how impressive and important their work is for the automotive industry. And I should say the same for the Western University. That's why we at EMC want to show our support for today's important announcement by Transport Minister Omar Alghabra that will help accelerate the transition towards medium and heavy-duty zero-emission vehicles. Being a mechanical engineer and an MBA, Minister Alghabra knows full well how strategic this announcement is for our industry. That's why I want to personally congratulate him and the team of Transport Canada. On behalf of the members of EMC, thank you for this initiative, and we look forward to working with you on this and other groundbreaking initiatives to advance the electrification of transportation in Canada. Thank you. Merci.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you to our speakers, to Leslie, Danielle, and particularly to Minister Alghabra for such an exciting announcement and something that's going to be so important to us in the region here. At this time, I'd like to turn the proceedings over to Nadine Ramadan. She's the Issues Manager for Minister Alghabra, and she's going to moderate a question and answer session for any media that have questions.
Thank you. We'll get started with a Q&A portion of the event. There's one question and one follow-up from the reporter. Nous allons commencer avec la période de questions. C'est une question de suivi par journaliste. Do you have a first question? Yes, the mic over here.
Thank you. Hi, Peter. My name is Norman DeBono. I'm a reporter at the London Free Press. The question is to Western specifically. To the Fraunhofer Institute specifically. what is done here, what production is done at this facility or research at this facility that is related to EV vehicles, EV medium heavy-duty vehicles specifically, and as a follow-up, what impact will this announcement have on Fraunhofer and research done at Western specifically? Thank you.
So Western continues to work with a number of automotive OEMs and Tier 1s. You can see actually a variety of EV-related components that we have here on display, and depending on the manufacturer, sometimes there is confidentiality as we're making these new components. But we're doing work on a number of various areas. A lot of times what the companies are looking for is to figure out how we can get as much weight out of a component as possible. How can we make a strong battery storage component? So for instance, this is actually the big unit that you see here is actually going to be coming forward in an upcoming road vehicle in the upcoming years. So how do we build that so that we can make the strongest, lightest, and cost-effective composite components? So we're doing designs on both looking at what implementation needs to be done with the vehicle, what budget, and then what fibers, resins, and various materials do we work in. So some of the members of the engineering team are right there off to the side. They work through on the component design, and then we'll work with the manufacturer if they have a preferred supplier of resins to work with. If not, we'll look at the various resins and materials that are out there and work with either carbon fiber, glass fiber. In some cases, we're working with natural fibers, depending on the requirements that OEM or that Tier 1 has in place. So we're very excited. We do work in a number of areas here at the Fraunhofer Center, both not just in automotive, but also in aeronautics and other light-weighting areas. But this is obviously a big one for us relative to what's taking place today.
Can I just add to this? Let me take a moment to thank Western University and the engineers and the researchers and the students who are working here, investing time and energy into new technology, into new methods of productions. This is an integral part of our ecosystem, automotive ecosystem, that is attracting new manufacturing opportunities for zero-emission vehicles that we've been announcing over the last several months. Battery manufacturing, zero-emission vehicles manufacturing that is happening here in Ontario and around Canada. And this research facility is part of the ecosystem that is attracting these manufacturers to build these facilities here. So I'm incredibly proud of the work that's being done here, and I'm glad to be making this announcement here today.
Hi there, good morning. That's Andrew Graham of Global News here in London. I had a question for Minister Alghabra. More specific to the incentive, could you elaborate on whether it's targeting employers or targeting manufacturers, and those taking part, what would they receive if they're taking part in this incentive?
Thank you for the question, Andrew. This incentive is an expansion of the current incentive that we have for light-duty vehicles. However, given the complexity and the various type of class of vehicles, we've designed something broader. And the approach that we're taking is we're looking at different classes of vehicles and comparing the new vehicles that are zero emissions prices to a traditional ICE, an internal combustion engine vehicle. And what we've decided to do is split the difference in half. So pay a business or an organization that wants to convert their fleet or their individual vehicles to zero-emission vehicles, the 50% difference in price. So and those ranges vary from as low as $10,000 to as high as $200,000 per vehicle. So whether they are coach buses, which is on the higher end, whether they are a van, a delivery van on the lower end, it's all based on what we're seeing the market prices are. So because we want to make zero-emission vehicles more affordable and accessible to Canadian businesses.
Hi, Mike Jensen from the London Trust. How much of a difference can composites make in terms of you're looking at composites versus an aluminum shell for a battery case or something like that? How much can you save over time going to composites for. for more and more parts of the automobile or truck.
have to say, Mike, it is kind of it depends, because it will depend on what the manufacturer selects as what materials they're using. But what we do try to do is make it as cost effective as possible. The big thing that they're always looking for is that they would like, generally when we work with the research on this, they like to have the material be stronger or as strong as what they're working with the metallic side. And then the goal is always, what can we get the weight down on? And a lot of times in a number of our projects, we can show you a number of different materials where we've replaced a metallic component, and we can save 30 to 50% of the weight of that component and have a strong, and in a lot of cases actually end up having a stronger device when we make it, so that again it provides even better crash worthiness for the vehicle, because those are always the two big considerations. The third thing we look at as well with composites as well is, can you also get it into the manufacturing process in a time cycle that also meets their requirements. So we get into situations where just behind us, we can show you after, we actually have a robotic system set up so that we can replicate what a manufacturer would do on the line, so that they can look at, it might take a minute and a half to actually produce that component, but then can it all meet the time cycle that they need relative to what they work with the metallic component.
Will this field be growing then, in terms of becoming doors instead of just battery compartments?
Yes, absolutely. There's a lot of work going on, both from training programs, our educational programs, our research programs, and our battery development. So I think that what we're seeing right now is we're at an essential pivot point in terms of growth and the work that is happening. So we're very excited to be a part of this, and the expansion and the ability of our researchers and our industry partners and our students to really make this happen is phenomenal.
There's also a new wave of materials that come from recycled products as well, which make the vehicles more and more sustainable. The way you build them, and you recycle and you reuse them. So that's a very important part of the future of the automotive industry as well.
My question is for the Minister. This is based or focused mostly on enterprise vehicles. Is there any component to this that is for regular retail in terms of benefit?
The same incentives will apply to individuals who want to buy any of these medium or heavy-duty vehicles. So if there's an individual that has a small business that wants to buy it for their business or for their own personal use, the incentives will apply. So the idea is to make sure that it helps us get to our target of 100% zero-emission vehicles for medium and heavy-duty by 2040. So, and everyone who wants to buy these vehicles would be eligible to benefit from those incentives.
To the Minister, thank you again. I think we heard that the incentives start at 10,000, go up to 200,000. How many, can you sort of detail how many steps there are in between, like how many levels of support incentive there are? I'm assuming this is for everything from a pickup truck to a massive truck. That's the first question. The second question, my follow-up is, just down the road from us, we have Candy Assembly in Woodstock, that is Ingersoll, that's assembling commercial EV vans. They must be very excited. They're going to be very excited about this announcement. Did you work with GM? Did you speak to GM and Candy about this? And did they have input into that process? And if so, tell me about that conversation. Thank you.
Sure, we'll be happy to provide you with a list of the type of categories of vehicles where the incentive apply and how much is the incentive. We actually have a category depending, or a list of categories depending, as I said, on the utility and the type of vehicle there is. I just gave the lowest example, $10,000, and the highest is $200,000, and there are different figures in between. And again, it all follows the 50% model, the difference between an internal combustion engine and a zero-emission vehicle. And yes, as we were building and developing this program, we worked with manufacturers and other stakeholders on making sure that we do this right. Obviously, we have a finite financial resources that are available that were committed in the budget, so we wanted to make sure that we have the best use of those financial resources to achieve the best outcomes. And that's the model that we achieved. And I feel and I believe that this announcement is exciting for all manufacturers that are producing, particularly here at home, medium and heavy duty vehicles that are electric or zero emission vehicles. This is going to be great for researchers as well, for developers, for jobs, people who work on the lines of those manufacturing facilities. Absolutely. So this has been done in consultation, and I know that they're all excited about this announcement. Thanks.
Do we have any further questions? Okay, great. This concludes the Q&A portion of the event. Thank you.